Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the Air in The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
The most famous incident, often cited as the prime example of the hypodermic needle model, was the 1938 radio broadcast of War of the Worlds. On Halloween Eve, the power of radio was in full display when a dramatisation of the science fiction novel caused a subsequent reaction of widespread panic among its American audience.
Were you aware of terror at the time you were giving this role? Were you aware that terror was going on throughout the nation?
Oh, no, of course not.
Orson Welles, the man responsible, later apologised for causing moral panic on a massive scale throughout America.
It seems to me unlikely that the people of an invasion from Mars would find ready acceptance. I was frankly terribly shocked to learn that it did.
Widespread popularity of the radio and television led to the theory of media having an influence on people. Another important factor was the new persuasion industries such as advertising and propaganda being utilised by industries and governments alike. In the 1930s, the Paine Fund developed by the Motion Pictures Research Council studied the impact of motion pictures on children to see whether or not the hypodermic needle model effect was controllable. Even Adolf Hitler monopolised the mass media in the belief that he could use it to unify the German public behind the Nazis in the 1940s. The theory suggests that the media is injecting a metaphorical syringe into the viewer's head. In this model, the audience is passive and the viewers are sitting ducks with no chance to avoid or resist the impact of the message. Mass media in this view is dangerous, as people believe that the message is no other source of information and is often described as a crude model, as it leaves out any attempt to allow the audience to consider or challenge any of the data. This theory, based on assumptions about the human nature rather than empirical evidence, was not as widely accepted as mass media experts of their era indicated. This brings us back to the 1938 broadcast of War of the Worlds. In reality, this incident sparked research into the phenomenon and eventually showed the reactions depend on situational and actuential aspects of variational interventionalism. In the 1940s presidential election of Franklin D. Roosevelt, a study called the People's Choice tested the theory. The study, conducted by Paul Larsfield, Bernard Belson and Hazel Granlett, used a modification of the hypodermic needle model theory called the two-step flow theory. Instead of proving the theory, it showed the majority of viewers did not respond to propaganda. The results actually showed that interpersonal relationships influence people more often by the media. The hypodermic needle model theory is considered too cumbersome to test and offers inaccurate results. Modern researchers wanted more empirical explanations for the relationships between media and its audiences. Since the media obviously didn't turn the audiences into unthinking drones, those studies, the field saw a more definable reaction. Some groups still quote the theory to explain why certain audiences should not be exposed to certain media, such as youth to comics in the 1950s or rap in the 2000s, for fear they will watch or read sexual or violent behaviour and will then act them out themselves. Like most theories, the hypodermic needle model consists of many in-depth studies to see whether or not audiences are affected by the media, but everyone is different by the way they respond to the media. This shows that particular studies are relevant, but certain aspects need major developments. I've been Nolan Pollard. Thank you and goodbye.
Remember, please, for the next day or so, the terrible lesson you learned tonight. That grinning, glowing, globular invader of your living room is an inhabitant of the pumpkin patch, and if your doorbell rings and nobody's there, that was no Martian, it's Halloween.